Welcome back to beautiful Cape Town as we're coming to you live from outside the steps of Parliament, where the mini budget is about to take, or the midterm budget as we can call it as well, is about to take place this afternoon at about 2 o'clock. Our Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan is going to be in the House delivering this. I mean, the midterm budget is not necessarily one of the highlights on the calendar, but I think because of the year we find ourselves in, a lot of people are looking to this particular midterm budget for a lot of direction and a lot of answers to some of the questions that have been plaguing people when it comes to the economy of the country and many, many other issues as well. So joining us here on the program, we're very delighted to have the Chairperson of the Finance Committee here as our guest, Yunus Carrim, just to help us understand a little bit about what to expect today. Good to see you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Good morning to you and to the viewers.
Yeah. All right. So, as I say, it's not normally such a highlight, and people don't look too much to this midterm budget, but it seems that this year we really are looking for a lot out of it. I mean, why are we taking it so seriously this year?
Well, firstly, the economy. Growth rates are very low. They're even lower than the modest projection of National Treasury. When the Minister presented the budget in February, he said then that for this financial year we will have 0.9% growth rates. Now, the Reserve Bank is suggesting it's going to be 0.4%. Others, like the IMF, suggested it might be even lower. So I think people are concerned about the lack of economic growth. But secondly, I think that the student protests have put the issue firmly on their agenda, because they're calling for free education. And government saying, well, yes, in principle that may be fine, but we have to work on the modalities and what exactly we mean by free education. Thirdly, I suppose, the minister himself is facing these allegations of irregularities, and he appears in court next week. And the government and the ruling party have been divided about exactly what the meaning of this is. So for those reasons and other, I think this medium-term budget policy statement is drawing the attention you refer to.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to break it down and chat about a couple of those issues. And let's start off with the students first, because obviously last year there were scenes happening outside of Parliament that we'd never seen before, and it was anger from students. Is that expected again today? Have you had indications that the students will be here represented?
Well, from what we can tell from media statements issued by student leaders, they are meaning to gather here at Parliament, and that's their right. After all, today is what we call the mini budget, and there's the demand for free education. And this is a matter that needs to be addressed in some form or another today, because the medium-term budget policy statement deals with the framework for the budgets for the next 3 years, and it identifies the spending priorities and so on. So that they should come makes perfect sense, and they're welcome to come, provided, of course, their protest abides by the laws of the country. We fully support their right to protest, but of course we, as many students too, don't recognize the right to be destructive and violent. There's no need for that. I think the government's heard the students. The whole of society has heard the students. We all have to work together to find solutions, not least the students themselves. And I have every confidence that over time we will settle the matter amicably. So for that's so much for now.
Yeah. Well, we're going to look to it today, monitor that situation very closely, and hope that it is a peaceful outcome. We talk about this political situation, and it really is something that is worrying South Africans, and it is a worrying situation. I mean, we've got a court case hanging over the head of our finance minister, and this must be a very difficult moment for him. He's asked everybody to please leave him alone so he can focus on the job at hand and not worry about charges that are pending against him. But how easy can that possibly be when this political interference is something that even our ratings agencies or the international ratings agencies say is also dampening the reputation of our country? It must be a difficult balancing act for our finance minister.
Well, obviously, to get the economy going, you need a measure of political stability, and you need political certainty too. And so obviously the rating agencies, the investors, all of us, the poor and disadvantaged too, have an interest in political stability. It is regrettable that the Minister of Finance is facing the challenges he does, and it can't be easy, neither for him nor his family. But I have known the Minister for over 40 years, And I know him to be a very strong, resilient, dedicated political activist. And I'm sure that he will manage the current stresses on his personal and family life in a way that reflects his resilience. And I think that it's good that cabinets come out, the whole cabinet, to say that it supports him. The ANC has also made that clear. Powerful leaders of the ANC, also in the individual capacities, have said so. And we must obviously, take into account that, that these are things we have to deal with. It's not all doom and gloom. It's unfortunate. It's regrettable. And look, as I said, I've known Minister Gordhan, I think, since the early 70s. And we had our political differences in the 80s. But I must say, there's never been any inkling by anybody in all the years that he's been politically active of any fraud or dishonesty on his side. It's slightly absurd to those of us who know him. But obviously he himself will acknowledge now that matters have got to where they are. He and those who identify with him will have to manage the legal process. So I'm saying in short that the issue isn't just about him. It's about where the country is more generally. And I think his challenges symptomize some of the broader challenges of our country. But I think we'll get out of this. And I think that his medium-term budget policy statement today will suggest a way forward.
Yeah. And that's something that I think all South Africans are desperately looking towards. And that's why I think today is going to be, as we started off the interview, one of those, as we did say, not necessarily one of those midterm budget highlights of the year, but I think this particular one is going to hold a lot of gravitas for going forward because of the issues that it finds itself surrounded by. Thank you for your time. I know you're rushing off to a meeting now. Yunus Carrim, have a wonderful day. Enjoy it. Thank you again for being a guest here and explaining to us a little bit about the background on it and some of the issues that are surrounding this particular midterm budget. Let's take a break.